Now at 9, Joplin police release the name of a late-night shooting suspect. Plus, Kansas lawmakers advance a plan that could lure a pair of professional sports teams to their side of the border. And the city of Fort Scott works on upgrades to the town's east side.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Kansas lawmakers today move one step closer to luring the Kansas City Chiefs and Royals over the border. Legislators today passed a bipartisan plan to allow the state to issue bonds to cover up to 70% of the cost of new stadiums for the teams. The state would pay off the bonds over 30 years with revenue from sports betting, lottery ticket sales, and new sales and alcohol taxes around the stadium sites. The bill now heads to Governor Laura Kelly's desk to be signed into law. It's not clear if she'll sign it, but she did praise the effort behind it. Voters in Oklahoma cast their ballots for a few races today in Ottawa, Delaware, and Craig counties that included the Republican primary for state senator for District 1. Michael Bergstrom beats out Houston Britton for the spot. For the Republican nomination for Delaware County Sheriff, Ray Thomas wins over James Beck. Incumbent Delaware County Clerk Barbara Barnes once again wins the Republican nomination. She beats out Genia Yeager. And the town of Bernice, Oklahoma votes to extend a 1.5% sales tax to fund city projects. Well, Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty joins us now with a first look at weather.
Well, of course, turned out to be a hot and humid one for us today. Temperatures back up to 92 during the afternoon. Started at 75. 87 is our average high for this time of the year. Look at this. We're still low to mid 80s, so it's warm. It's very humid outside. This is what we're going to see as we go through the rest of the evening hours. Still breezy, but the winds are slowly going to calm down as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. We're also tracking some thunderstorms out to our west. You can see these really from central Kansas all the way back to southwestern Kansas. As they roll in, they will start to weaken, but our northwestern counties most likely are going to get some stronger thunderstorms late tonight. Here's 2:30 in the morning. Yates Center over toward Iola. So we're going to be talking more about this, more about heat and humidity, all coming up here in a bit.
All right, thanks, Doug. Joplin authorities today released the name of the suspect in last night's double shooting, and we are learning more about the circumstances. They've arrested 19-year-old D.W. Bryant of Joplin. Police were seeking charges for first-degree assault, first-degree robbery, and armed criminal action. Now, police believe Bryant shot 2 men on the 1700 block of South Annie Baxter Avenue last night while trying to steal marijuana from one of them. The shooter fled the scene, but officers found Bryant nearby and initially arrested him for outstanding warrants. Police later determined he was a suspect in the shootings. The 2 victims are a 19-year-old man who was shot in the abdomen and a 20-year-old man who had multiple gunshot wounds to both legs.
2 individuals that did have injuries from gunshot wound injuries here on the scene. Currently, they're listed in serious but stable condition.
And Brian has a criminal history for the armed robbery of a pizza delivery driver. Part of his probation in that case states he may not possess a firearm. Well, no one was seriously hurt in a traffic accident involving a Jasper County deputy today in Joplin. It happened at the intersection of 7th and Main Street just before 11. Authorities say the driver of a pickup truck failed to yield at the intersection and struck the deputy's vehicle. City officials in Fort Scott, Kansas are beautifying the east side of town, starting with upgrades at 3rd Street Park. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has more.
Beautification projects in Fort Scott, Kansas are underway, focusing on parks like on 3rd Street.
We have done a lot of work on the 3rd Street Park bathrooms in particular. For as long as I can remember, they've only had toilets in those bathrooms. On each side, they didn't have sinks. So this year we had new sinks installed, just adding some things like toilet paper holders, paper towel holders, trash cans, things that we didn't have before previously. It was very bare minimum before.
The project is paid for with grants and with Evergy's donation of a 35-foot Wi-Fi pole.
So we would be able to control the bathroom locks and the security cameras. So we've been working on that for a long time, but it's wrapping up now.
According to city officials, 3rd Street's park bathrooms are set to open in a couple of weeks. Teenagers living near the park say it's just in time for summer plans.
Be outside a lot and play and go to parks and stuff.
Recently, a fire incident happened at the park, burning parts of the playground. The teens say the charcoal remnants are a reminder to take care of what the city improves.
I think that kids around here should be more respectful with the play equipment and not be disrespectful and just roundhouse around and destroy stuff. Definitely things could be much better around here. I do think Fort Scott is a pretty place, but definitely could be worked on.
Reporting in Fort Scott, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Well, the fire incident Amber referred to happened just 3 days ago. The Fort Scott Police Department observed smoke coming from the playground area. Fire crews arrived to find a piece of playground equipment fully engulfed in flames. And while there are currently no suspects, this incident is under investigation as an arson. The playground equipment is valued at $1,000. The Carthage Chamber of Commerce today celebrated a milestone for a local landmark. The Precious Moments Chapel and Gardens marked its 35th anniversary with a ribbon cutting. The event served not only as a way to look back on the chapel's history, but also as a way to look forward.
We have a lot of exciting things coming in the future. We hope to build on Mr. Butcher's dream as well and to keep going with all that he's planned. And we have just redone the museum to tell the complete story of his life.
The occasion marked one of the first events Precious Moments has had since the passing of its creator and founder, Sam Butcher, who died last month at the age of 85. Well, some Joplin residents today added a little color to their wardrobes. The group Joplin Equality hosted a tie-dye night at Mercy Park. Folks were able to swing by with white clothing and turn them into unique kaleidoscopic works of art. It was open to anyone, no matter how much tie-dyeing experience they had. Well, coming up, educators double down on a warning from the Surgeon General about the dangers of social media for young people. While social media platforms have the power to educate, inform, and connect people, America's Doctors says they pose serious risk to the mental well-being of kids and teenagers. In the wake of the U.S. Surgeon General's efforts to seek warning labels on social media platforms, educators are doubling down on his warnings. Fox News' Sean Langill takes a closer look at their concerns.
Would you want to be warned about the negative effects of a product before you or a loved one uses it? Well, when it comes to the impacts of social media on the well-being of kids and teens, the Surgeon General is calling for action. Dr. Vivek Murthy telling the New York Times Monday that Congress should require warning labels on social media platforms, stating, quote, social media is associated with significant mental health harms for adolescents.
The students that I'm interacting with, they do see their community as having a lot of anxiety. They do see higher rates of depression.
Educators like Michelle Burke of the Stevens Institute of Technology says the Gen Z students she teaches are interested in studying how growing up with cell phones and social media has shaped them.
Particularly how those technologies impacted their ability to focus and to learn and to study and to feel good about themselves.
According to the latest data from the Pew Research Center, about 9 in 10 teens ages 13 to 17 reported using YouTube, and 63% said they used TikTok last year.
13-year-olds, they don't have the level of executive functioning that adults do, right? And so their impulse control it's not there yet. And so we really need to guide them slowly and mindfully down this path rather than just, handing a device over.
The last time a federal law designed to protect kids online was enacted was back in 1998 when the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act was passed. That was before Facebook was founded. Sean Langill, Fox News.
A new smartphone face screening tool could help paramedics to identify stroke in seconds, which is much quicker than current technologies. Researchers in Australia are using AI to develop new software they believe will save lives and reduce the risk of long-term disability for stroke patients. The technology uses the power of facial expression recognition to detect stroke by analyzing facial symmetry and specific muscle movements. Well, a new study at Tufts University shows the number of Americans eating poorly remains high. Researchers did find some improvements over the past 20 years with consumption of nuts, whole grains, and proteins rising. Now, gains in dietary quality were highest among younger adults. Well, Doug is next with a complete look at your forecast. And later, 3 members of the Pitt State softball team earn academic All-American honors.
Well, of course, another hot, humid day for us today. High temps into lower 90s across the region. It's been very windy as well. It's still breezy out there, but the winds will slowly cut back as we go through the overnight hours tonight. We're approaching the longest day of the year, daylight-wise, so it's still light out. Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex, Tower Cam, of course, downtown Joplin. Look at our temps. 81 Nevada, 80 in Neosho, 82 in Veneta. We have 84 in Parsons. Let's go outside here. 7th and Rangeline currently sitting at 82. Southerly winds at about 10 to 15 still. They were sustained 15 to 25 earlier. They're slowly starting to back down just a bit. All right, not a whole bunch going on here, but you can see thunderstorms increasing out to the west. Strong to severe thunderstorms out across central and southwestern parts of Kansas. In fact, extend all the way up into parts of Minnesota. But as this line continues to work east, we're going to see less and less severe weather, but we may get a pretty good gust front that kicks through southeastern parts of Kansas. These storms in general will start falling apart as they move in, but you can see the storms extend all the way up into parts of Minnesota. Let me take you through time. We're going to stop here at about 2 o'clock in the morning. Some of these storms getting into our northwestern counties, Eureka, Yates Center, maybe Fredonia, Neodesha, Chanute, Iola, late tonight. Some could be a little stronger, not expecting anything severe. Kind of working through our northern counties. Here's 4:30 in the morning. Then once we get into about 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock, everything is gone. By noon, mid to upper 80s. Once we get into the afternoon, here's 4 p.m., we'll start to see some isolated thunderstorms popping up again across the region. Most of you will stay dry, but there is going to be that chance out there as we get into tomorrow afternoon. High temp still upper 80s to near 90. Tomorrow night's fine, back down near 70. On Thursday, we're going to have a lot of high level clouds, but again, high temperatures right around 90 degrees. All right, 72 in the morning, 86 by noon, high temp of 89, some hit and miss, random little storms. And as we go through tomorrow afternoon, again, we're going to have those heat indices kind of in that 91 to 94 degree range, very similar to what we've seen over the past couple days. So it's going to be hot the rest of the week, temperatures near 90 degrees. As we go into the weekend, some chances for thunderstorms Saturday night into Sunday morning. And then we're going to have just kind of hit and miss storms most of next week. But at the same time, the heat and the humidity really kick in as temperatures are going to be warming well into the 90s for highs. All right, 89 tomorrow. Let's go 89 on Thursday, 91 on Friday, 94 Saturday. Thunderstorm chances late Saturday into Sunday, and then hit and miss all next week. But look at those temps, 94, 5, 6 degrees. So it gets pretty hot and humid next week.
I'm pretty sure that tomorrow night you originally had it down to 68 degrees last night, or 69.
Now it's 70. 1 degree.
Mentally, that was getting me. I was looking forward to that one night.
Well, there you go.
Below the 70s. Dang it. All right, thanks, Doug. Well, coming up, answering for a growing list of problems.
Boeing CEO in the hot seat as senators grill him over mounting safety issues at the aviation giant. The CEO was also faced with the loved ones of people killed on crashed Boeing flights. I'm Connor Hansen in New York with the details coming up.
Consumers pulled back on spending last month. Retail sales rose just 0.1% in May, and that's according to the Commerce Department. and below economist expectations. Sales declined the most at gas stations, furniture stores, and shops that sell building materials and garden equipment. Meanwhile, spending was the strongest at specialty stores that sell sporting goods, books, and musical instruments. The slower than expected sales come as consumers continue to deal with high inflation and elevated interest rates. Avocado lovers, listen up. Your favorite superfood could soon be in short supply. And that's because the U.S. Department of Agriculture has suspended avocado inspections in Mexico. The agency cited security concerns for agency workers' safety, but did not say what prompted those concerns. Produce already cleared for export will not be affected by the decision, but avocado supplies in the U.S. could be impacted if the pause on inspections drags on. The USDA spokesperson said the agency is committed to resuming inspections as quickly as possible. Well, Boeing's embattled CEO was brought before Congress to answer questions about its safety culture following even more claims from whistleblowers about faulty parts. Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen has more from New York.
On Capitol Hill Tuesday, Boeing CEO David Calhoun faced families who lost loved ones in crashes months apart in 2018 and 2019.
I apologize for the grief that we have caused. And I want you to know we are totally committed. We are members to work and focus on safety.
The senators want to know what the company is doing to fix what critics call a broken safety culture.
This is not an industry where it's okay to cut corners.
The last time the CEO appeared on Capitol Hill was after the door plug blew off an Alaska Airlines flight in January.
Our culture is far from perfect, but we are taking action and we are making progress.
The problems haven't stopped for Boeing. Just last week, Southwest Airlines said one of its Boeing 737 MAX 8s recently plunged mid-flight, at one point only 400 feet from the Pacific Ocean. Senator Richard Blumenthal also brought up a new claim from a whistleblower that he was told to hide evidence from the FAA.
We also have strict policies that prohibit retaliation against employees who come forward.
For those who lost loved ones in Boeing crashes, no apology will be enough.
I'm here very simply to confront her killer.
To me, justice is for them to held accountable and be criminally charged and to face us in trial.
Boeing says it hasn't received a new order for one of its MAX planes in 2 months. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
Well, some Americans are willing to break the bank for a Disney vacation. Nearly half of parents in the U.S. go into debt during a trip to see Mickey, Minnie, and the other legendary characters. That's according to a survey from Lending Tree. Officials there say the average family breaks the budget by nearly $2,000, and in some cases need a few months to fully pay the tab. Many blamed pricey foods and souvenirs for busting the budget. It's always those souvenirs. Up next, how local anglers spent time celebrating National Go Fishing Day.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Summertime for many families means getting out of the house and hitting a favorite vacation spot. Now, one such spot is the Crawford State Park in Farlington, Kansas. KOAM's chief photojournalist Ty Parks gives us a bird's eye view of the park.
So Crawford State Park was originally constructed in the 1930s as a fishing lake. It wasn't designated as a state park until 1965. So it was built by the CCC, which is a Civilian Conservation Corps, with the idea it was a fishing lake, and then designated as a state park in 1965. Approximately 120 or so private homes in our park, which makes us unique. A lot of state parks don't have private lots for sale. So we do have the private land ownership, and then everything surrounding the homes is owned by the state and the park. So we have a beautiful lake, 150 acres, mostly used for fishing. We get a lot of boaters out here, jet skis, people tubing, just wanting to have fun. We have 83 utility campsites, which is either electric or electric and water, 28 primitive campsites. We have group use areas that families can rent out and enjoy kind of more privately and secluded from the rest of the campsites. We have beautiful hiking trails, 3 just for hiking, 1 is hiking and biking. There's a lot of history. We have the Spider Leg Trail, which is down by the hatchery, which holds a lot of history to it. You can see old structures from the original CCC camp that was here. Have 5 cabins to rent. They're beautiful. They're remodeled this winter, inside and out. People really enjoy those. Great view of the water and more secluded from the campgrounds, a little more privacy, and just enjoying the people. You know, we have the marina restaurant out here, which is really popular with people. So, favorite part, I gotta say the wildlife out here. Just coming out every morning, and you know, you're always met by deer, wild turkey. We have a few bald eagles that hang out around here. I just love seeing the wildlife. You know, we're a smaller park compared to some in the state, so we have fewer staff members, but the whole team does a great job keeping this place looking beautiful, all the buildings functioning for our guests, which is really important to them, to have access to the bathhouses, the showers, keeping everything just in good shape.
Well, the Crawford State Park is also known as a quality perch and crappie fishery. Anglers can also reel in catfish, largemouth bass, or northern pike. Well, in the West, the heat is fueling about 20 large wildfires that have burned more than 100,000 acres. Red flag warnings are in effect in parts of California and have been extended through tonight. And about 600 miles east in New Mexico, thick vegetation is challenging fire crews near the mountain town of Ruidoso, where wildfires are growing at an alarming rate. President Biden is making it easier for some undocumented spouses and stepchildren of American citizens to obtain permanent residency in the U.S. It's the second executive order he's issued on immigration in recent weeks. It's a stark contrast from presidential rival Donald Trump's plans for mass deportations. Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor explains.
President Biden is taking executive action to protect more than 500,000 undocumented migrants from deportation.
70% of Americans support this effort to keep families together. And the reason is simple. It embraces the American principle that we should keep families together.
To qualify, a person must be married to a U.S. citizen and have lived in the U.S. for at least 10 years, with no criminal record. Undocumented children under 21 whose parent is married to a citizen are also eligible.
The announcements and affirmation of what America is truly about at its core, a land built by immigrants.
Undocumented migrants married to an American already have a path to citizenship, although current law requires they return to their home country before applying. Many Republicans say the executive action will just encourage more illegal immigration.
This is the most pro-amnesty, open borders president in American history, and now he's granting mass amnesty. It's outrageous.
Just 2 weeks ago, Biden took another executive action to limit asylum applications at the border when migrant crossings are surging. A move immigration advocates denounced, but they're applauding this one, as it's a stark contrast from Biden's presidential rival Donald Trump, who's promised to deport mass number of illegal immigrants if reelected.
We have no choice. This is not sustainable.
This executive action comes as migrant crime is dominating headlines, with the recent arrests of an illegal migrant accused of killing a mother in Maryland and another accused of sexually assaulting a teenager in New York. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Russian President Vladimir Putin is meeting with North Korean leaders in Pyongyang. It comes as both countries vow to resolutely oppose U.S. efforts in Ukraine and the Korean Peninsula. During Putin's two-day visit, talks are predicted to be expected to focus on beating U.S.-led sanctions and strengthening military cooperation. The Biden administration admits it is concerned about the closer ties. A bit later, how outdoor workers can stay safe in this intense heat.
Well, of course, a hot and humid day for us today. Temperatures, they went into lower 90s. Of course, we are almost officially in summer. Meteorologically, we are starting on June 1st. Nice shot of our Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex Tower Cam, which is just outside, or right in downtown Joplin. All right, let's take a sneak peek toward the summer, because we have two main features in this cycling weather pattern, which we will be in until the beginning of October, and then we go into our new one. But this year, instead of last year, we had high pressure setting up out to our west. This year, about 2/3 of the summer, it's going to set up pretty close to on top of us or just south of us. What this does is it brings Gulf of Mexico moisture in, gives us hit and miss storms. We don't really hit 100 degrees, we stay in the 90s, but we have those high heat indices. Now, there is one part of the pattern where high pressure slips back toward the west, very similar to what we had last summer, which was very hot. This is a drier heat, so this is going to be the time that will allow us to get above 100 degrees. So that's what we're going to watch for this summer. I do think we'll have below average precip and temperatures about average for us during the summer. All right, low to mid 80s right now. Looks pretty good. Here's 7th. Here's range line 82. Southerly winds at about 10 miles per hour. But these have calmed down a bit compared to what we had earlier today when we were getting gusts 30 upwards of 40 miles per hour. All right, we're tracking thunderstorms back to our northwest, right across central Kansas, diving in. Severe thunderstorms, and you can see a few trying to get into our western counties. But this line in general is going to fall apart as it moves in. We are going to get some scattered thunderstorms in our northwestern counties, but most of us, we're not going to see much from this line. Watch it drive in. So we're going to go to about 2 o'clock in the morning, affecting like Eureka, Yates Center, Fredonia, Chanute, Iola, and then stays in our northern counties. So down toward Joplin, Pittsburgh, you won't see any rain. Showers and thunderstorms kind of evaporate as we go through the morning hours. And then once we get into the afternoon, we're going to have pop-up isolated storms, just kind of hit and miss storms across the region. Once we lose the heating of the day, those are going to be gone. Drop back near 70 tomorrow night. Thursday, mainly dry, maybe an isolated 1 or 2 little guys popping up, but high temps right around 90 degrees. So very consistent to what we've seen all week. 72 in the morning, 86 by noon. High temp, 89 degrees. Heat indices, they're still going to be up there. It's going to feel like 91 upwards to about 94 degrees, but the humidities will really start to climb by the time we head into the weekend and also early next week. All right, 89 tomorrow, hit and miss storms, 89 Thursday, 91 on Friday. Heats up over the weekend. We're going to get some thunderstorms Saturday night into Sunday morning, and then just kind of those hit and miss pop-up storms all next week. But look at those temperatures, 95, 96 degrees. We'll have heat indices above 100 most of next week. So that's you know, kind of pressing the threshold there a little bit.
Yeah, I've been trying to find time when I can mow, but really the best, you need to do it early in the morning.
Yeah.
But like, there's like a fine line of like, you
don't want to burn it.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I don't. We'll take that. All right, thanks, Doug. Well, coming up in sports, Pittsburgh State Athletics announces a new class of Hall of Fame inductees. Plus, 3 Gorilla softball players are named Academic All-Americans. John Dales has those stories and more up next.
Pittsburgh State softball is getting the job done both on the diamond and in the classroom. College sports communicators announced today that 3 members of the Gorilla team receive academic All-American honors. Heather Arnett is named a first-team academic All-American. She has a 3.8 GPA while pursuing a bachelor's degree in elementary education. This comes after Arnett was also named a first-team All-American from the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association. Now, Hannah Burnett is a second-team academic All-American. She has a perfect 4.0 GPA while pursuing a Master's of Business Administration. She was a third-team All-American on the field. And Hannah Martin is a third-team honoree. She also has a perfect 4.0 GPA as a history major. Well, Pittsburgh State Athletics announces its 2024 Hall of Fame class today. 8 Gorilla alumni will be inducted into the Hall of Fame the weekend of October 5th. Plenty of names you might recognize on your screen. Current PSU women's basketball head coach Amanda David, 2011 national champion and former NFL wide receiver John Brown, along with Pitt State football's current assistant coach and passing game coordinator Mark Smith. We have more details on all 8 inductees on our website. Head over to KOAMnewsnow.com/sports. Well, Missouri Southern softball has 4 players signed to its 2025 recruiting class. The team announced it this week. Ashlyn Hewlett, who just graduated from Rogers High School in Arkansas. Her high school teammate, Cadence Janney, also from Rogers. Bailey Jonah Dillon from Olathe North, and Easton Walter from Green Valley High School in Missouri. All 4 of them are eligible to play next season. Cy Darnell, who just redshirted his freshman year at Missouri Southern, is playing for the Jefferson City Renegades this summer. Today, he's named Mink League Player of the Week. The 2023 Webb City grad is batting .500 in his last 4 games, and he leads the league with his .400 batting average on the season. Well, the Joplin Outlaws are more than a quarter of the way through their first season in the Mid-America League. They enter play tonight in sole possession of second place. This evening they face Abilene, who's in sole possession of first place. Now the Outlaws opened up a 4-0 lead, but after that point, the Flying Bison scored 5 unanswered runs. As we come on the air, Joplin just tied the game at 5 apiece in the 7th. I'll have another score update from this contest in just a little bit on KOAM News at 10. Over to Major League Baseball. If the postseason were to begin today, both the Royals and Cardinals would be in control of the second wildcard spot in their respective league. The Cardinals beat the Marlins in 12 innings last night. Tonight, they lose in 10 innings. Final score in that one, 9-8. The Marlins win it. Now, the Cards scored 1 run in the top of the 10th to take the lead, but they allowed 2 runs to score in the bottom half of the inning. They lose on a walk-off single. Series finale is tomorrow morning in Miami. Over on the West Coast, the Royals are taking on the A's in the Oakland Coliseum. Tonight's the start of a 3-game series between the two. This one in the 4th inning as we speak. The Royals trail 4-2. Their only 2 runs have come off a second-inning home run by Nick Lofton. Something interesting for Royals fans, this series is their last trip to Oakland ever, basically, because the A's are moving next year to Sacramento, so it's the last time they're going to play there.
Interesting. All this talk about teams moving, it's exciting.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back with more news after this. The Summer Olympics kick off on July 26th in Paris, but already some people are concerned scorching temperatures could impact the games and endanger the athletes. The last time Paris hosted the Summer Olympics was in 1924. Back then, it was about 5.5 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than it is today. In a new report from the University of Portsmouth, athletes and scientists both warn this summer's combination of heat and humidity could be lethal. While air conditioners and fans will provide relief to some, those whose careers require them to work outdoors are being thrust into dangerous conditions. Fox News' Ted Linder takes a closer look at how outdoor workers can stay safe this season.
Sweltering temperatures are intensifying their grip on communities across the Midwest and the Northeast this week, with tens of millions of people still under extreme heat alerts Tuesday.
Hide out in the AC. Close all the curtains.
And while health experts recommend minimizing your time outside to the early or later parts of the day when it's cooler, not everyone is fortunate enough to remain indoors. Data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics reveals roughly 33% of workers are frequently exposed to the outdoors as part of their jobs. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says construction workers, landscapers, firefighters, and more can face elevated risks for heat-related illnesses.
You're going to wear 40 to 50 pounds of equipment, and you're going to be right up against the fire.
I don't really like the hot, so this is going to be very painful for me, but I'm going to have to do what I have to do.
Being properly hydrated with water prior to going out is a great way to prepare, but make sure you continue drinking 1 cup of water every 15 to 20 minutes once outside.
When it's really humid, the body's just not able to dissipate that heat as well, and that puts people at risk for heat exhaustion and heat stroke.
Wearing light-fitting clothing can also help outdoor workers sweat more effectively. And don't forget the sunscreen, because avoiding sun damage to your skin can actually help you stay cooler.
Up to 7 days after a sunburn, you're not able to dissipate heat as effectively, so you're not able to sweat as effectively.
Ted Lindner, Fox News.
Well, coming up, we'll meet a Missouri man who didn't let his battle with ALS stop him from achieving his lifelong dream. A Missouri man finally realized his lifelong dream by skydiving last week. He has also been battling ALS for over 20 years. As Alan Shope shows us, the man hopes his jump will inspire others to keep fighting.
We're gonna jump together, man.
It started with a surprise from a good friend. It's been a life of love for aviation for 66-year-old Mark Johnson.
I used to fly an airplane when I was a kid. I always wanted to jump out one.
Mark is living with ALS. He was given 2 to 5 years, but that was 24 years ago. Since, he's been fighting. Mid-April, though, he was moved to hospice care and was asked if he could do one thing, what would it be? He said, jump out of a plane.
I'm very excited and very grateful to have the opportunity to do it.
So Friday afternoon, Mark was suiting up.
So we're going to be crouching like this. You'll be grabbing onto your harness.
Mark says he hopes he's an example of why folks fighting ALS should never give up.
A lot of people don't know much about ALS. Very devastating.
Mark credits his courage on this day.
That has to do with the people I have around me today. Give me that hope and courage. Live one day at a time and live it to the fullest.
How was that? Great job!
My father was an airline pilot. I've always loved to fly. I think it's a sense of freedom, all of God's creation out there, beyond amazing.
To get to see him experience that joy.
Pretty cool. And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of new koalas at the Brookfield Zoo near Chicago. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.